Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Grow? I created this podcast because I wanted you to learn how other coaches, freelancers, service providers, and course sellers are growing their business, landing 10 to 20 new clients every single month, paying them 50, 100, 200K months. See, if they've done it, you can too. And that's just the reality. And I want you to listen to these podcasts to understand what strategies are they using, what techniques are they exploring, because it's in these gems that you can apply it to your business and actually scale things up. When you're ready and you feel like you actually want to learn practical, proven methodologies, or even you want to hire a team that can build you a profitable personal brand, book in a chat with our team because we can guarantee you go viral and guarantee you get clients for your business.
Welcome to the show, guys. This is the How Did They Grow podcast, and today we have on Brittany Hayes. Brittany, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on today, Mike. So my name's Brittany. I have 8 kids between me and my husband. I have 5 kids and he has 3. So we've got a full house, busy family life. And my life was completely changed, working off social media years ago. I got involved in network marketing when I was early in my 20s. And was in network marketing for over a decade and literally just completely changed my life. It was a global company. And I worked up to be the number 17 income earner in the entire world out of 200,000 people. And I did this, while never sending a cold message, never hosting a party or an event, but just, strictly practicing attraction marketing. And, posting in a way that, and like writing from a place of authenticity and writing from my heart in a way that like it spoke to other people, resonated with other people, and compelled them to want to reach out and work with me, or compelled them to want to reach out and try a product I was promoting, et cetera. And just absolutely changed my life. I mentored over 5,000 women to earn a 6-figure income and beyond off social media. So I didn't just have success by myself. Like I also, was able to duplicate myself into so many other people. My first 2 years in that company, I made over $1 million, hit the top rank of the company and just kept building. I started, I'm one of those people like, I never want to rest on my laurels or be complacent. So I started a second account and just built the second account up again to the top. Because I wanted people that were working with me and were inspired by me. I didn't want them to think that I had gotten somewhere and just like arrived and that was that. I wanted them to know, like, if you're in the trenches working, I'm going to be in the trenches working with you. Like, I'm never going to stop and I'm going to keep showing you what's possible. So all that, carried on so much success. And then in 2016, I started a company, Ignite Enterprises, offering, social media marketing services, consulting services. I had a lot of people that had expressed interest that weren't necessarily affiliated in network marketing with me, but, we're like, hey, like, can I pay you to teach me how to be an influencer? Can I pay you to teach me how to be successful in a different network marketing company, And so it's crazy how that side of my business just continued to take off. I, have people to this day that are regular clients that, for whether it's 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, we'll meet. And I actually have a waiting list for consulting clients because I only take people that I never take more than a certain amount at one time. That way I can make sure that I'm giving everyone my all and like until they feel like they've completed what they need from me. I don't want to stretch myself then and take too many more. So, and then I am still involved in network marketing. Actually just helped launch a global company again in the US and Canada. We just went live on Friday. So when I was asked to help launch that, I knew right away it was, a hell yes for me because just of the incredible opportunity it was. And with the experience I had before in the industry, I was like, you know what, I'm going to bring my best foot forward in 2025. And it's been crazy, like the amount of people that have reached out that didn't even work with me the first time around, but have sent me messages saying things like, I've watched you for the last 15 years and I've always followed you, wanted to work with you. Like, can I get in on this? And it's just that consistent reminder of like, never underestimate, the power of building a solid brand because you just never know who's watching and you never know who's like waiting for their turn to be impacted by whatever it is you're doing.
Amazing. I definitely do agree with that. Touch a little bit more on, attraction marketing, because it's one thing to be on social media. It's one thing to be making videos, but how do you do that strategically in a way that, positions you as, because we, for example, we in our audience, we're a lot of coaches and experts, right? Not necessarily influencers. So the goal for them is mostly positioning yourself as the authority, the person to listen to. So is that the same thing? Does that kind of tie into attraction marketing?
Yeah, 100%. I would say, like obviously breaking attraction marketing down is super simple. It's that you're marketing in a way that attracts people to you. And you can do that from, several different methods. Like obviously you want to resonate with your audience, but you never want to be so relatable that you lose that place of authority like you're talking about. One thing that I make sure when I'm posting about whether it's a financial opportunity or a product someone needs in their life, like I'm going to post in a way where like you're going to read it and be like, I would be an idiot to say no, like how do I not reach out to her about this? And that can't happen unless you believe what you do. That can't happen unless you're passionate about what you do. And I think sometimes when people struggle with how to write from that place of authenticity in a way that actually compels people forward to action, the reason is just it's simply comes down to, for me anyways, when I observe it, it comes down to a place of belief and whether that belief is strong. I know some people when they first are getting started, they're like, they know they have a good offering, but maybe they have a little bit of that imposter syndrome going on where they feel like, like, how can I really speak about this because I haven't made it yet? And to those people, I would say like you gotta believe it in your mind before you're gonna be able to go there in person, and people will start coming. It's like that quote: "If you build it, they'll come." Like if you're shouting from the rooftops and you're passionate and excited about what you're doing, and you're speaking in a way that like lands with people, then they're gonna come. It's only a matter of time.
Definitely. So tell us about your journey with social media. How did you start? Why did you start? Let me even start way further back. Like, did you always see yourself as an entrepreneur? Did you do any 9 to 5 before starting that? Was it something you had at the back of your mind as a kid, or was it something that you evolved into?
Yeah. So no, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. As a little kid, I was the one with the lemonade stands, and my friends and I would make these little homemade cards, and we would go around our neighborhood and sell them to people. And it's funny, my parents would laugh when we come back with a stack of cash, and they'd be like, "People actually bought those? They were made out of construction paper." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, they thought they were really good. And like, again, goes back to like, you got to believe in what you're selling. But I am the child of an entrepreneur and have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family. I was very blessed to grow up with, a very hardworking father. He, when I was a baby, started out mowing lawns, and by the time I was in 6th grade, beginning of middle school, his landscape and irrigation company in DFW was doing 10 million a year. So I watched him be the epitome of like no handouts. If it's to be, it's up to me. Literally mowing yards in the Texas heat without a shirt on to, that many years later, business, doing 10 million a year in revenue is incredible. And he just always told me when I was like, well, how did you get there? Like, I remember just picking his brain so many times. He had a sod farm in Oklahoma, and we would ride up there together on the weekends, just me and him. And like, those are just moments I cherish so much. But I would ask him all these questions, and he would tell me, like, number one, that he always knew if it was to be, it was up to him. He was like, if it's to be, it's up to me. And then he always said, I'm a hard worker. Why would I want to work hard for someone else when I could work hard for myself? Just like little things like that stuck with me as a little girl, like hearing him say. And he's like, I don't want to ever put my family's fate in the hands of someone else. Like I want to control of it. So those are just things he drilled into me. I was the first in my family to graduate from college. I went to college, and ironically, I don't use my college degree at all. So I'm not even like a big promoter of college or anything. Like I always tell my kids, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I would rather, the money I was going to spend on college, I would rather invest in your business, but my dad, is very grateful. He did pay for me to go to college. I went to Liberty University and got a degree in psychology. And when I first graduated, I had just had a baby. And so I was working full time in a 9 to 5 very briefly for probably about a year. I worked for like a financial services company. And then but I just quickly knew that wasn't for me. Like I knew I wanted to be home with my child. I was getting married. And so, flash forward, like when I did end up deciding to, be a stay-at-home mom temporarily, I remember like just racking my ideas, like what are things I can do from home? How can I work from home? So to answer, coming full circle to the other part of your question, how did you get on social media? When I started network marketing, I had social media, like I had an Instagram, I had a Facebook, but I only posted on it like once every like 6 to 8 weeks. Like it was really just to like post a picture of my kids so out-of-state family could see. And when I joined network marketing, a lot of people were in the season where they were having parties, they were doing vendor events, or if they were using social media, they were doing cold messaging. And I knew cold messaging had a bad rap. And I wasn't really in a position where I could do parties and events because I was also taking care of my elderly grandfather. So I was like, you know what? I know there's got to be a way to maximize this working from home. And I'm going to figure it out. So I went from like the girl who had never posted a selfie and rarely ever posted on social media to studying and watching YouTube videos like day in and day out. I mean, I probably watched YouTube videos for like 6 to 8 hours a day, just learning from whoever I could learn from on how I could brand myself, like how to properly edit my photos to make sure they were bright and I was standing in natural light, things like that. And I just started, putting content out there. And more importantly, I think that even the pictures that were taken, like I really made sure I was writing from a place of authenticity and writing from my heart. And it's amazing how, we said earlier when we were chatting, Mike, how likes don't equal dollars, but it's amazing how like some of the posts that like I didn't even know if anybody saw because it got like 3 likes, I would get like 10 to 12 people text me that night, opportunity, 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 which was the call to action on my post. So I remember just having moments where I'm like, wow, like I didn't even think anybody saw that post. And people are not only saw it, but were inspired.
And what year was this?
This would have been like, I don't even remember, early, like sometime in between like in the decade of 2010 to 2020, but way sooner, probably like 2014.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing to see that these methods were still being used back then. In my mind, they're newer methods, but you were like a trailblazer in that sense.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a term not a lot of people had heard of. And I actually faced, believe it or not, Mike, I faced some resistance. Like when my company that I was with started asking me to speak on stages and teach about attraction marketing because not a lot of people were doing it. And so they were like, Brittany, like, can you teach the whole company how to do this? And I'm like, absolutely, I'd be honored. And it's funny, like the little people in the company loved it. They were there, they were just minds blown, taking notes, they were so excited. But the other leaders in the company were very intimidated by it. And I faced a lot of resistance. I faced a lot of like just snarky comments and people being like, oh, that's just luck. Like you got to teach your team to cold message because if they're not cold messaging, one day this is going to die and this isn't going to work. And it's funny because like you just said it, like this is the method everyone wants to do now. And like back then, what felt authentic to me, but a lot of people didn't like that I was teaching that. They did not like that was the message I was shouting out from the rooftops. So it's funny how things come full circle.
Amazing. I think it's an amazing story. Let's kind of segue into you now in terms of what you're doing now. What's your offer right now on social media in terms of what is it? Yeah, break it down for us.
Yeah. So my company, Ignite Enterprises, we offer social media marketing services and consulting services. So I have clients that I meet with regularly for consulting that are, meeting with me to learn how to be an influencer, learning how to start monetizing their Instagram, and just really build their brand. So I would say a lot of my consulting clients, that's kind of what their end goal is like, help me build my brand. Like, how do I start presenting myself on social media in a way that long-term I can monetize? And I'll say I love all my consulting clients so much because they all have the long game in mind and they're all very patient and they understand like brand isn't built. And then I'll have people that want to sit down for consulting just for social media training, not necessarily for any rhyme or reason, but they just want to understand it better. And that's fine too. Like I love, helping people, especially in this day and age when like you can't really live life without social media to some extent, I love helping those people that need that extra confidence boost have it. And then as far as network marketing goes, I had stepped away from the industry for a while. When I got divorced in 2020, I just kind of needed a break and just to focus on my other business. And about, I guess it was December, so a couple of months ago, I was approached by my former chief sales officer in that last company, and he'd been retired for 3 years. So, this is big if it pulled him out of retirement. But he just approached me and was like, hey, like one of my good friends and accountability partners is ready to launch. They're the owner of this, $250 million a year company. They're in 18 countries. They've been around 30 years, but they've never launched in the US and Canada. I'm coming on board to help them launch it. And I need 40 network marketing professionals to help me do it. Do you want to be one of the 40? And I signed an NDA and took a look at everything. And thankfully, I'm not under the NDA anymore, so I can speak more freely. But I went and learned about all the products, got to try everything, met the corporate team, and it was immediately a big resounding yes for me. Just for the opportunity of it being ground floor, but then also the fact that it was like products I really believed in, and just an incredible opportunity. So I said yes. We were in pre-launch up until last Friday, and during pre-launch, I signed over 100 people in less than 2 months. My team signed over another 100 people together, so our team grew to 200. And then, literally, just since we launched on Friday, I think I personally signed like 22 people from Instagram, and my team collectively has signed about 100. just one of those things. Again, people are coming out of the woodworks, and the amount of messages I'm getting that are like, hey, like I had a rough year last year. I followed you for years. If you're doing this, I want to do it because like I need to win this year. And it's cool because it's people that like I didn't even ever work with before, never have known before, never have spoken to before, and they're just, but like coming forward saying like, I've watched you for the last decade. I watched you for the last 15 years. So really cool feeling how that's even come full circle. Super excited to be back in the industry and like mentoring other people to do the same, because that's honestly where I get my passion. Like, you know, anyone can go create success for themselves, but like the real measure and like that true fulfillment comes from, can you help other people create that same success? And that's what really gets me excited every single day.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're learning so much practical wisdom, because that's what I really wanted from this podcast. Now, I just want to quickly say, if you're looking for a team that can actually help you explode and go viral with your personal brand with proven methodologies, I say this because I've been doing this for the past 5 years. We've got a team of 30 people who are ready to go ahead and explode your brand so you can get clients begging to work with you. Have a chat with one of our advisors. You can book in a chat using one of the links around this video, because that chat might just change your life.
Definitely, definitely. I like what you said in the beginning about the consulting thing. I'm curious, how similar is that, you know, in your head? How similar is that to what we do?
I would say there's definitely some overlap. You know, I think that honestly, a lot of coaching programs in general, there's a lot of similarities. It's just the details might be different, but I believe, you know, our end goal and the energy behind what we're doing is probably very similar.
Amazing, amazing. So like from what I heard you say, like ours is kind of like a done for you service, and yours is like consulting and coaching, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mine's not anything done for you. Mine is like, I can sit down and teach you how to do what I know how to do.
Yeah, hold your hand. Makes
Yeah.
sense, makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah. It's definitely like, I have a lot of people that, you know, they have the belief that they can, they know it's possible. They want to do it. The desire's there, but they just don't know where to start. You know, those are like typically the people that will hire me for that.
Amazing, amazing. Kind of break down your strategy in terms of getting clients for our audience. You know, obviously your personal brand over the years has been a big play. Did you ever dabble into ads? If not, tell us why. We would love to hear it. And yeah, is it referrals basically? How do you get most of your clients for your consulting offer?
Yeah. So I don't do any paid ads whatsoever. Even with our social media marketing firm where we manage businesses' social media accounts, we don't do any paid ads for them or for ourselves. I've never been for paid ads. I've always been just a belief that organic is always going to trump anything a paid ad can do. Like I know how I feel when I see something sponsored versus when I see something that is clearly like, you know, it's an organic post. And so definitely a lot of referrals. One of my newest clients came from a referral for sure. So referrals are huge for my business, but I will say honestly, just being consistent on social media, you know, showing up every single day, sharing every single win. It's funny, you know, people get FOMO. Like whenever you like, if I post in it for either business, consulting or network marketing, if I post that I sign a new client, it never fails. I'll get messages that day that are like, hey, I've been meaning to ask you. You know, it's just like, I think when people see that other people want to work with you, it makes them be that much more excited to reach out because it's in their head. They're like, I don't want to be left behind. Like other people are making this decision. I need to too. So that's been a big strategy for me from the beginning, is just being just, you know, relentlessly consistent on social media, you know, always showing up and letting people know you're open for business, always showing them all the other wins, everyone else that's working for you, creating that FOMO. And just also instilling that sense of urgency, you know, like if my plate is filling up and I'm going to have to, you know, initiate a wait list for the next 3 months, like I'll post about that, because that's something that like people who are on the fence will immediately be like, oh my gosh, if there's only 2 spots left, I want one of them, you know? Same thing with network marketing. Like a network marketing, I would post, you know, I'm only mentoring 10 people this month, absolutely first come, first served. Those 10 spots will fill up the very day I say that. Like I don't have to wait 30 days to fill them. They will fill that day, because when people know like, oh, you're only going to work with this many people in this 30 days, I don't want to wait a whole nother 30 days. So I'm going to get started with you now. So just, you know, when people know you're in high demand, I feel like they take it a lot more seriously. And I think this is something that anyone can do at any stage of business. Even if you just started your coaching business, you know, you could make a decision that your first month, you're not going to stretch yourself too thin and you're only going to work with 5. And so you could say like, I am only working with 5 clients this month. Absolutely first come, first serve, reach out to me to claim a spot. They're going to fill fast, just like the way you word things and the way you put things out there really makes a difference if like someone's going to actually respond to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's amazing. Tell us about your content process too, because one thing a lot of coaches struggle with, because coaches they are a beacon of knowledge, but when it comes to, transitioning that knowledge into social media, that's where they really struggle. So what is sort of like your content process, and how have you been able to, and what have you struggled with as well? Because what are you struggling with in terms of putting out that content? And how,
So I'll be honest, like now that when I built my business the first time, reels were not a thing.
Mhm.
Short form video did not exist yet. It was all photos. And that was easier for me. Like I can take beautiful photos, edit them in Lightroom, and then I'm a writer by nature. So it's not hard for me to, write something that's going to be inspiring. When reels started becoming a thing, I will say that was a learning curve for me. So that was probably somewhere that I had to really lean in a little extra and actually really commit to learning, because it just didn't come naturally to me. So I hope anyone that's listening that feels intimidated by social media or one aspect or another, you can realize like you're not alone. Like there's so many of us, but it's not an excuse. Like even if you feel uncomfortable, you still got to lean in and figure it out. For me, like now that carousels are a very relevant part of Instagram again, that's been really helpful because I have regular calls with Meta, and like my Meta expert has told me to like post 2 carousels a week with trending sounds, 2 reels a week with trending sounds. Like that's something I can stick to, and I just really make sure that I'm posting things that again are going to resonate with my audience, that are authentic to me personally. So for me, like a little hack I'll give people is like for trending sounds, especially for reels, I'll sit and just like, I don't even necessarily watch the reel, I just like kind of scroll and like listen to the sound. And if it doesn't resonate at all, I'll just scroll past it. But if I like it, I'll listen to it once or twice and just kind of visualize like what is something I could do with that sound. And it's probably going to be nothing like the video that was posted, but I'll let my own creativity start flowing and get my own ideas. And then I'll just kind of make a few ideas for the week and then, execute them. So I think that a lot of times we overcomplicate what content needs to be, but at the end of the day, your audience just wants to see you showing up and they want value from you. And they want to know that whatever you're putting out there is something that is actually relevant for them. And so when you start thinking about it like that, I feel the ideas start flowing a lot more easily.
Definitely. And to touch back on it, so social media, your main thing on social media is, in terms of client acquisition, is the organic content and that organic reach and building that trust and that relationship with the viewers. And how is the sales strategy? Break that down for the client, for the audience, because like you do a lot of call to action. You mentioned that, so it's you sell them in the DMs, or how does that work?
DM or they can text me. So I put my phone number as a call to action on the bottom of every post. So I'll put DM or text me opportunity to my phone number, or DM or text ready. I always make it one word. I find that people it's a lot easier for them to reach out if they don't have to think about what to say. And then when they reach out, I always start with asking them what their name is and thank them for reaching out. And then I send them a voice message of what my offering is. I always voice message because I feel like, again, it's more authentic. They're going to bond with you so much faster. They hear your voice, they're going to trust you so much faster. And I always just end my message with, what questions do you have for me? And then I answer their questions. And then if they only have a couple questions or say they don't have any, I'll say, okay, great. Are you ready to get started? So I always lead them right into getting started with me. I don't leave a lot of room for that to, lag on for, too much time, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and they say sales is sacred, in the sense that you have people coming to you. They commented that word, or they sent you that word because they know they have a problem. So you shouldn't be wasting time in terms of, getting them to take action.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's your job to lead them to that point. I always teach my team in network marketing, like, don't say, let me know. Like, that's the worst thing you can say is like, oh, let me know, because they're not going to let you know. The best thing you can say is, are you ready to get started? And it's amazing how when you're direct, people appreciate that confidence, that authority. And they're like, yeah, I think I am, So just not leaving any room for things to drag on longer than they need to is key for me.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So this should be like, for the people listening, this should be like a standard funnel for them. They should post organic content. They should put CTAs in the content, get the people to go into the DMs and convert those DMs into deals or calls, or enclose them on the calls, basically, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And
in my mind, you want to say something?
no, I was just going to give everyone a quick tip, like even in Instagram DMs. So even if they don't text you, even if they DM you, you can still use the voice message feature. And if it's someone that you've never interacted with before, like don't underestimate how fast they will trust you when they can just hear your voice and just connect with you in that more personal way.
Definitely, definitely. So in terms of growing that, because getting past that 10K mark is big for a lot of coaches. So what would the goal there, in my mind, according to the math, would be to post more strategic content? Because the more content you post, the more calls to action you can have, the more comments or leads you can have, and the more that can turn into, what's it called, into sales, right?
Right. And if you're wanting to attract not just viewers on your content, but actual followers, then using trending sounds is huge. Unfortunately, original audio, a lot of people still like to use, but that will, you might get views, but you're not going to get the actual follows. So trending sounds is what's going to push you up.
Kind of broke up. Sorry, Brittany. You kind of broke up. You said if you wanted to attract followers and views, yeah, followers, not viewers.
Yeah. So trending sounds number one. So that way it's pushed in on followers. But then the second piece of advice that I would give is make your reel long enough that people can connect with you. A lot of people like doing the short reels because you get a lot of views because people have to watch it over and over, or they accidentally watch it more than once. But one thing that Meta told me very black and white on our last call we had 2 weeks ago was if you're posting a short reel, then that's good for your ego. You're going to get a lot of views, but you're not going to get followers because it's not a long enough piece of content for anyone to actually connect with you and feel compelled to follow you. So if it's not about your ego, it's about real growth, like true actual growth, then post longer reels. You might not get as many views, but you're going to get actual followers from it because it was long enough where you could tell a story. And I can tell you wholeheartedly, like whether I do a carousel with trending audio and I do some index captions, even ones that get like a lower amount of likes, I always get a minimum of like 5 to 10 followers from each one. Because I was vulnerable. I shared my story and it was a way they could actually connect with me. And so I think that's also something that like is such a simple tip, but if people will implement that, they'll start seeing, really big difference in the results they're getting.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing is because, I'm sure you would know because you've seen social media transition from where you've been in the beginning, that, trust on the internet in 2025 is at an all-time low. People, everyone's trying to do a quick one over everyone. So the more authentic you can be and the more genuine you can be, the more you can connect with people and the more you can make those connections and be able to help people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the study that Google did. Sorry, you want to say something?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, the study that Google did, the 7-11-4 study?
I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
Maybe you're familiar with it, but not the name. So like basically they said before someone can trust you enough to buy from you on the internet, they have to watch at least 7 hours of your content over 11 different touch points across 4 different platforms before they have that trust, on average, before they have that trust to be able to buy from you without even thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I've also heard the statistic that years ago, so prior to short form video, the statistic was people would have to see things on average of 7 to 9 times before they'd feel compelled to act. So whether that was a commercial, a paid ad, something an individual was posting about, they'd have to see it 7 to 9 times. And now the research is showing, now that we have fast paced our life so much since COVID and short form video and everything else, that now that number is actually somewhere between 21 and 24 times. And it's funny because like I'll see people that, you know, will get discouraged. They'll be like, I'm putting content out there and no one's saying anything. And I'll look at their page. I'm like, you've only posted 2 times. And they're like, yeah, but look, nobody said anything. It's like, yeah, but you're going to have to keep going regardless if anybody says anything, because your breakthrough is like 21 posts later. So
I think we're kind of breaking a bit.
yeah,
I think you're back. I think you're back. All right. I got everything you said. So yeah, perfect, perfect. So yeah, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling to start on social media, to coaches specifically? Because the way it works is this, right? As I said, coaches are a beacon of knowledge. So let's say this is the coaching level and this is the social media level. Their coaching business using social media. So some coaches, what they do is they double down on social media. They keep posting on social media, but they focus less on delivery with their clients and all that in terms of their actual knowledge, in terms of like the amount of knowledge the amount of attention they give to their business. And the other coaches is they fully do this, where they're putting so much attention into the business and they're not leveraging social media. So what advice would you give to people in these two conditions?
yeah. So I think that, you know, balance is everything. Like you obviously want to be focusing on the things that you're good at, but you do need to be, you know, being active on social media as well. I don't believe that we can really operate, you know, to our fullest potential and maximize all the fruit out there that is for us if we're not on social media in this day and age we live in 2025. So, you know, even if it's something that you feel you have to outsource, if it's something you feel like you have to get a little extra help from, you know, that's fine. Like, but do it. Like, recognize if you are dropping the ball to a point that you need extra external help, because you do need to be active on social media, no matter how good you are at everything else. And it's funny because, like, I'm in a local networking group here in town in Southwest Florida, and it's crazy how many people in our networking group who have, you know, more traditional businesses, but they're not on social media, or they're not being consistent on social media. And they'll make comments like, oh, I've never had to do social media before. But then 5 minutes later, you'll overhear them say that their business has been struggling. You know, it's been down the last 3 years. And I'm like, cause and effect, you know, like in this day and age, like you've got to be active on social media if you're going to really fully grow. I'm not saying you can't grow without it, because you can, but eventually you will get to a point where I believe you kind of will get stagnant, because there is just so much growth opportunity on social media, more so than there ever can be in person for you. Like, you're never going to be able to come in contact with as many people in a day in person as you could, as your posts could come in contact with that many people on social media.
Definitely. Definitely. So this is kind of a nice way to transition out and say, like, what are some of the goals for Brittany Hayes in 2025? I assume 2024 was a big year for you in terms of business and your personal brand. What about 2025? What are you looking to do? What are you looking to achieve? Maybe in terms of your coaching business, maybe in terms of what are the goals for you, basically?
Yeah. So my goal is for both of my businesses to both surpass $100,000 a month in revenue each. You know, I've had high months in network marketing where my checks have been 50, 60,000. And that's awesome. I'm super proud of it, but never that 100 mark. So that's a big goal for this year. And then same for Ignite Enterprises. You know, we've had months that we've hit 40 to 50,000 in revenue. And, you know, consistently stayed at that. But this year, you know, really that's just a goal we made at the beginning of the year that was really important to us, is we want to see both businesses break that 100K a month mark, because we know we can, and we know that, you know, there's so many people out there that need what we have to offer. And our one commitment that we made to ourselves last year, and it changed the game, is we stopped, you know, selling ourselves short. Like, if a client couldn't afford to work with us, we stopped giving deals. And because we realized every time we did that, it ended up being like more of a headache than it was worth. And we stopped, and we stopped working with people who we got a vibe in the initial consultation that, like, we're just not a good fit. And so we made a really strong commitment that, like, you know, if I got any at all weird feelings in the initial sales meeting, we would refer them to someone else, but we weren't going to work with them. And that absolutely blew up our business. We started finding so much more joy, so much more, like, just excitement again, working with people. Yeah. And not having to deal with any of those unnecessary headaches and problems. And so it's been incredible how that's worked out for us.
I think
So
that's amazing. And I think those are some amazing goals and some very achievable goals at that, because of the
yeah.
way you've set yourself up. What would you say is the plan to get there? To get to those, let's say for your course, what is the plan to get to that 100K mark?
Yeah. So we did a price increase this year because we realized like we have a wait list, like why are we not raising our prices? And so we really made it to where it's again only serious people that are taking advantage of those services, like it's an investment and it's people that really want to grow and really want to work with us. And what we have found is that those people, the amount of referrals they send is just astronomical in comparison to people that were on, lower consulting packages. Because they really walk away just feeling like their life has been impacted. Like they have so much knowledge that they're ready to, that knowledge is on fire. And so the amount of referrals that come from that have just, that alone has contributed to our scalability plan. And then with network marketing, honestly, really simple, just leading from the front. We've been live in the US and Canada since Friday, and I've already signed 22 people and not slowing down anytime soon. And that's a big thing to me is like when you're leading a massive team, when you lead from the front and you're showing them exactly what you expect out of them, like you're performing it, you're doing it. Your team is inspired and they will follow suit every single time. And that's what I'm seeing. Like every single time I go to my team page and I welcome someone, 5 more people are welcoming someone, and then an hour later, there's 10 more that are welcoming because they're pumped to see their leader leading from the front. And so, to some people that doesn't sound like a strategy because they feel like they need to control every single detail. And for me, I have that peace. Like I work from that place of peace, knowing like when I do what I'm supposed to do and I show up and lead from the front, the rest when it comes to network marketing will always fall into place.
Definitely, definitely. I noticed you didn't say anything about social media. I was expecting you to say something about social media.
Oh, so I mean, being relentlessly consistent. Sorry, I thought that was a given because that's what I've been chatting about the whole time. With social media, just like a no excuses mentality, like every single win gets shouted out, even if it's just in my story. Every single, if I get a positive, text message from a client, like that's going in my story, like every single thing. Like if you think they should hear about it, they should, and just continuing to get creative, like there's so many resources out there that, I really truly believe like in a day of this much free information, like ignorance is a choice, but it's our job to like choose to utilize those resources. And so I take advantage of every opportunity I can get. Like when Meta reaches out and says, do you want to call? Yes, I want to call. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to take advantage of that call because why wouldn't you, and same thing when there's a new Audible that comes out or there's, a new podcast that I love listening to. Like I'm just making sure I'm always learning and always growing because that bleeds over onto my social media, tenfold every single time. And when you show up on social media completely on fire, like it is amazing the amount of people that will just flock to you. And so I do want to encourage anyone listening, like if you feel like you have been posting on social media and it's just been crickets, like ask yourself, like, have you been doing your self-development? If not, that's probably the major one thing you need to fix. And if you have, ask yourself what kind of stuff. Like, are you listening to people who are on fire for life and who are pumped up? Because that will bleed over into your content. And I firmly believe that. But you've got to be putting yourself in the right rooms and putting yourself in the right positions. And then also, too, like that's more content to post about, like if you're going to a growth conference, your audience is going to love to see that. If you just listen to your 37th book for the year, they're very impressed to see that, but like when you show up in a way that, again, positioning yourself as a, in a position of authority, and you're really showing people like, hey, I'm always learning, I'm always growing, and I believe you should be too, let me help you. That's a powerful statement and a powerful, position to take online.
Definitely, and I definitely do agree with you. Let me ask you one last thing. What is something you wish I asked you on this podcast?
Something I wish you asked me. I don't know. You asked such great questions. I feel like one question that a lot of people do ask me. It's not that I necessarily wished you asked me this, but I get asked a lot when I speak at different things. How did you build that successful business with 5 kids at home? And I really love that question because I think it just comes down to like a no excuses mentality. Like if your goals and your dreams are important to you, your kids won't be an excuse; they'll become a part of the journey. And for me,
they'll
like,
become a motivation.
yeah, and I always I always have had real conversations with my kids. Like we have a dream board in our house on the wall every year. They get to put stuff on it too. And they know, like, like last night I had a Zoom with my team at 7:30. And so they were obviously still awake, but they knew that mommy was going in her office to get on a Zoom and that they needed to go be quiet and play together in the game room and or go watch a movie in their room. And it's not a problem, but like so many people will just kind of think things are going to be a problem when they don't have to be, and for me, my kids were always my why. They were never going to be my excuse of why I couldn't get something done. They were my why I was going to get it done, because I want to be able to say yes
Definitely.
to vacations and private school and all the things that they want to do. So I know that, I'm sure there's a lot of people that listen that definitely, are parents. And I just encourage you, like, remember, if you're doing it for your family, then don't let your family be your excuse. Like, bring them in. Like, my kids are supportive when I tell them I need to go do something because they love the fruit of the life we get to live.
Definitely. And kids are like, I speak to a lot of coaches, and maybe you would agree, a lot of coaches, especially coaches who are, they say when you have a client who you work with and you are able to take them from point A to point B, and when you reach the end of that bridge or the end of that journey, they become like a kid. You know what I mean? They become like a child. That feeling, it's like having a kid. Do you agree?
And we were having that conversation actually coming back from a trip this past weekend. It's just crazy that you say that because I was literally spot on everything that we were saying. And we were talking about also just like how like our team has become like children to us, like the way they rely on you and need you and look up to you. And you almost feel like you're the parents in that organization. And, it is
Yeah.
a cool, like being able to just create that family dynamic and that atmosphere. And just, everyone feels at home, everyone feels a part of something. And I think when you can create that, what's really cool about that is people don't leave family, that's something they want to stay engaged with.
Yeah.
And so creating that atmosphere, I think, is huge. Just for like the health of your brand and the health of your organization.
Amazing. Definitely. I think this has been an amazing one, and I think we've really come full circle here. Where can the people, go to find out and learn more about your work?
Yeah. So the easiest way is just to find me on Instagram. It's my Instagram handle is Brittany Hayes. That's Brittany with an I, BRITTANI HAYES.
Okay.
And then I am on Facebook as well. My Facebook's public, so you're able to follow me there too. But I will say most people, connect with me on Instagram for sure. But yeah, on Instagram, I have, any other thing you need to know about me, you can find it from my Instagram, my link in bio, etc. But that's the easiest way to connect with me and reach out to me. And if there's anything that inspired you from today or questions you have or anything like that, you can always send me a message, and I'd, love to connect with you.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to go away and execute everything there is that you've learned. Now, one thing I will say is if you're in a position where you're ready to actually take things to another level, you want structured, clear guidance, you want a team that can actually help accelerate you, book in a chat with our advisors. Why? We can blow up your personal brand to attract clients begging to work with you. All you got to do is book in a chat with our advisors and we can help make it happen. Sound fair enough?